congratulations to the winning team. It's been really, really a tedious day. Strathmore University, congratulations once again. Nderitu and we have Nderitu and we have Simon and Nelson Ameo.
Yeah, Nelson.
Yes, those are going to be my panelists for the day today. So then this is just the preliminary, just to get the room heated and welcome the winners and congratulate the winners. But when it hits at exactly 6:10, then we are going to begin the conversation in earnest and get to have and see how do we get the conversation on arts and culture rolling. So be excited for the winners, but also be excited for the moment, because this is going to be such a great conversation, because we're going to talk about our culture, our music, the things that we love and enjoy.
Yeah, thank you, Josiah. You know, there have been questions, some students wondering, why did we bring in the aspect of culture, yet Enactus is always about business. And I was just giving some of them an example that even if you look at this cell phone, the idea of coming up with a camera on a cell phone, a mic on a cell phone, it has to do with culture, because culture, we do a lot of talking, right? Without talking, then why do we need mics? And then if you need a mic, you need an engineer. Then if you need an engineer, you need a bank to finance the production of the mic. So this is just to try and start opening the imagination of our Enactus students, that it's not for nothing that we brought this topic, culture, into this Expo. It's because we are very much aware of how these things are interlinked. You know, it's not a silo approach. I think the silo maybe belongs to studies, but real life is not really about silos. Thank you, Josiah.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Josiah Adiema, and I am a communications strategist at Leap Consultants. Today, we are going to be having an exciting conversation, a conversation that pertains to our culture, conversation that pertains to our music. But even before then, there is the greatest artist, considered to be one of the greatest artists of the whole time, say Bob Marley, Bob Robert Nesta Marley. He says that if music be the soul, be the food to my soul, then play on, play on, play on. Play on some music, because it's a beautiful music. And that is the level that we're going to begin with. But before we get to that level, I want to introduce to you a producer, somebody who is enthusiastic about music, art, and enjoys it to the core. Our panelist for the day, Nelson Ameo. Please kindly say a word or two.
My name is Nelson. I am a music producer / recording artist. I work independently, and I am glad to have the privilege to talk on this panel. Thank you, Josiah.
Thank you so much, Nelson. And we are also going to be talking to a very enthusiastic student from the University of Nairobi, Nderitu. Nderitu, Nderitu Irungu, are you on? And tell us, why did you think that this is the most preferable conversation that we must have with you?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm Nderitu Irungu, not from University of Nairobi, but from Jaramogi University. And for me, I feel that there is a lot which has not been achieved. There is a lot in the industry of, that is the art, which we need to get into. And there is a lot of resources. There is a lot of hope for those youths who feel like it's done, it's over. So together we'll go down, and in a good discussion, we'll all enjoy it.
To all the artists who are in this room, to all the people who are in the culture and art segment, you're in luck, because the president just said that there is 100 million for you to share. So then the question becomes, you say, how are you going to position yourself for this money. But before we get to the money bit of it and know what is your production, Bwana Mayo, how does art, culture, and in this case music, shape how we interact with the nation today or with the world?
Thank you, Josiah. Well, in response to the question, I think all of us need music. So if you're throwing a party in your house, you need something to play so that your visitors can relax. And if you're trying to, let's say, do an event, if you're a corporate, you need music to grace the occasion. So I think in this essence, music repurposes our lives and opportunities in a way that it provides more opportunities to push more products as well as just relax at home. And then there's also the revenue aspect of it, where the main motivation why artists make music is to make money, which we use for the other aspects of our lives. So I feel in terms of the opportunities, music is a really important part of how we can generate revenue, as well as it's a gateway to other opportunities like marketing products and just feeling good about our lives generally.
Bonarungu, do you want to say why art culture is one of the very vital things to repurpose our life?
Yes. You know, the art itself, there is a lot in art. That is, it helps to increase the creativity. You get, the creativity will help us to unleash the potentials that we have in our minds. And through the improved creativity, I'm very sure when youths tap to it, they'll get to understand and invest their minds in the art.
I'll just shift this. Nelson, you're an IT expert. So even as you do music and as you produce a lot of things, you're an IT expert, and meaning that you're connected to the social media world. So then how can we have the youth for today position themselves within, one, the music culture industry, but also tap into the technological bit of it when you talk about innovation, when you talk about social media, when you talk about technology? Where's the link between those two?
Well, it's a simple and a complicated question, really, because for you to be able to get to the crux of the matter, you have to look at the history of music in general. We have come from an age where record labels were controlling almost everything. So everything from creating the song itself to the visuals that accompany the song. And now we are in an age where the internet has really flattened the curve between an upcoming artist and a well-renowned artist in the industry. So I think in terms of how we can unlock the potential, for my approach would be, and this is something that I apply every day, social media and streaming services like YouTube have really come out to change the game and help less visible artists to push their content further. We're also seeing a lot of American and European music services, like, for instance, I'll mention here YouTube and Spotify, as well as Tidal, the latest upcoming music streaming platforms. They have reached a point where there are now global services that are accepting artists from any country, really. So for my opinion as to how an artist can capitalize on this is internet is the way to go. But of course, you should not forget to rely on the more traditional ways of pushing the music, like radio, which has been there for several decades now, as well as TV. But I think internet is the way to go if you're an up-and-coming content creator in this decade.
Bwana Nderitu, we have our culture, we have our language, we have all those things that define us and put us under one orientation. But yet, there's a famous Swahili saying that goes that mwachamila ni mtumwa. If you look at the generation today, we have a generation one that probably do not know their dialect very well. They do not know how to express themselves in their culture very well. So then do we have a lost generation, or do we have a generation that needs to find itself?
A very tough question, a very tough question to ask, but it's two-way. We have a generation which is lost and a generation which is trying to find itself to get. We are trying to find ourselves, and in the process of finding ourselves, we just in between, at times we lose track. So the youths these days are trying so hard to copy the Western culture, and the same while trying to copy the Western culture, it's helping the youths to the.
Bandit, how are you there? So, ladies and gentlemen, those who are following this conversation, you could use the chat segment and ask the questions that you really think are very critical for this segment as pertains to culture and art. But even beyond that, then follow this conversation as it's happening on our social media platforms. We have the Twitter and we have the Facebook, we have every other level. So make sure that each and every single sentence or sentiment that goes out is hashtags as Expo, the Enactus Kenya Expo. So then that is what you should be vigorously doing. So I am expecting to see a lot of your conversations and chats coming through the chat line so that then we engage further. To get back this on track. So then Derrida says that this is a generation that is not lost per se, but they are also still finding themselves. And yet, we realize that there is also a generation that is uniquely shaped to tap into the aspect of their culture as well as the creativity. Nelson, would you say that there is enough creativity that would get us with this generation to the places that we need to get in the next scene?
Well, I do believe the creativity is there. But we also have to look at human history in general. There's always been a new thing in the market. There's always going to be a new phone. There's always going to be a new hit song. There's always going to be something new to hype the trend. So I'd say, in contradiction to what Nderitu was just mentioned, we are not generally lost, and neither are we adapting to Western culture. We can all agree that we are colonized by the British, so British culture is here to stay, and you can already see by the fact that we are speaking the Queen's language. So I think it's less of Westernization and more of people need to have a more open mindset towards the new sounds of music that are coming out, of the new arts and the new types of videography that are encompassing our cultures in general. And we need to be less about we are African, this is how it's supposed to be, because I've seen some trending videos online where bands in Oxford in Europe, they're playing Sauti Sol music. So Rayako, Muzuri, Mama, those are like white people playing African stuff. So I feel Westernization is a convenient excuse for refusing to follow the trend, which I feel is something that we need to move away from. But of course, we also need to check ourselves from too much copying of other cultures until we forget to create our own.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, even as you follow this conversation, we'd want to hear from you through the chat line again. What have you been active on? What has been your creativity? What have you been doing to express yourself art-wise, to express yourself in terms of music? And also, how have you combined all these things to ensure that you're seen at the technological level, which is at the internet level? Bwana Nderitu, if I come back to you, and we've just had Nelson talking about the market. So on that market front, so then what are some of the avenues where we, as the artists who are expressing themselves creatively, can ensure that we make money? We just do not just make things that do not earn us money, but we make a living out of it. If you combine the art scene, if you combine the music scene, if you combine our culture, and then you put in the aspect of technology and innovation, how can we tap into all that and ensure that we make money?
Thank you. Thank you. As I said before, the creativity aspect. Creativity, everybody is going for creativity. The more creative you are, the more you get easily into the market. So if we incorporate the creativity aspect to the art, it will be very easy to maneuver. And also we appreciate the forelearners of that is our forelearners, those who have already made it. If we just follow their track, and also we also incorporate the aspect of being honest. That is being honest with yourself. It will be very easy to get into the business knowing that you have the reason setting, and that is setting your goal. After you have set your goal, it's very easy to tap into the market, having known there is somebody who has already done it, there is somebody who will do it, and there is somebody who will still do it after you have done it. So having those three in mind, it will be very easy for you to get into the market.
Okay. Probably all of us can interact with this question. And again, I implore you to just type in something and say something that comes to your mind as pertains to this conversation. But even as you do that, then there's a question that I'm challenging all of you to find or to respond to. Say, what are the threats that the foreign culture has had for us in Africa, in Kenya? Do we have the effects and threats of foreign culture? A good number of us, please just kindly type in your answer as we seek this through. Nelson, if I get back to you.
Yes.
So then, do we have the space to say that the youth will look at the art scene as an alternative avenue, or is it one of the critical avenues that they must start thinking about very actively now?
I'd say it's already happening today. I know quite a few prominent people who are producing music and videos, who do it full time on YouTube or streaming platforms. So I know it is possible to turn art into a sort of day job that earns you a living. But when you look at the local landscape in terms of art, it's a little bit rudimentary in terms of we lack support, and I'm talking about institutional support. I'm not talking about having fans on the streets who cheer to your music. We already have that, but what we lack is institutional support. I'll give you a good example. Yeah, when COVID-19 recently dropped in our country, what happened is the president released about, I think he mentioned 100 million, if I'm not wrong.
Yes.
Yeah, so 100 million was released to go into the art industry, really. But when you look at the impact of that money, there is no accountability to how the money was used. As a music producer and a recording artist, I can tell you for free that Music Copyright Society is in serious chaos. So royalties are not being collected, or if they're being collected, they're being misappropriated by the people who are sitting in the board of the Music Copyright Society of Kenya. We have seen issues where artists have been making music, but they lose rights to their songs. In this case, I'll talk about the most recent event that I've noticed was, I don't know if people in this panel listen to Nadia Mukami. I don't know if maybe you do, Josiah.
You You've asked me if I listen to Nadia Mukami.
Yes, really popular musician. She
You're
has been
throwing a
popular
gauntlet on me now. Yes, I know Nadia Mukami, and I listen to Nadia Mukami.
Yes, so Nadia is a really good musician, very talented young lady. But what a lot of people don't understand is until recently she had lost all rights to all her music on YouTube. Someone else was eating the money she was making from ad revenues on YouTube, and it took a whole court case to settle the matter. But as you can easily tell, if it reaches a point where we live in a civilized society where I can do work and someone else gets to reap the profits, it tells you there's a gap in how we are handling the whole talent and art issue. So
Okay.
I'd say we are there, but we are not there yet, because what we are lacking is we are lacking the proper structures to support young people who are trying to get into the industry and make a living.
Buona James, I know you're not a panelist on this conversation, but I'd want to get it from you. Why do we shy away from our culture? Why are we not proud of our culture as a generation? Why did we leave? For example, you only look at Kenya, then you realize that we tend to assume from the people who see us that the Maasais are the people who represent our culture. Yet that diversity is not seen within the entire nation. Buona James, I'm giving you that question. I know you are not part of this, but yes, I have thrown it on you.
Hello, Josiah. Yes, thank you for letting me in. I think it's a good sign that as the age advances, I should become an artist and also start singing like maybe Nelson and doing works of art. But to your question, what I would say is that nothing happens without deliberate effort. There has to be deliberate effort. There has to be a purpose, and we can't leave culture to accidental activities. So, for example, if I just talk about the foods, I mean, now you get Chinese restaurants here, Japanese restaurant, Italian restaurant, you get Ethiopian restaurant. There has to be purpose-driven. Otherwise, if you leave it to accident, then you discover even when your own food disappears. I mean, the kind of menu you have disappears as well. And therefore, what countries have been doing is to have what we call a conscious effort to promote their culture. And that's why you see, like, talking about the foreign culture, you'll see the French having French Cultural Center here in Nairobi. You'll see the Germans, they have the Goethe Institute. You see, those are deliberate, purposeful effort to entrench their cultural system. So for Kenya, I think, as Nelson is pointing out, it's not enough just to have a ministry of culture. There has to go beyond just having a ministry to this deliberate effort where we are saying, look, even at the county level, where is the investment? Because you cannot promote good music that will make people, all over the world to listen to it without having a deliberate effort, some scientific effort. I mean, if I just give you an example, there are countries now that are investing in what they call multidisciplinary approach to how they solve a problem. And I was quite amazed to come across one of these countries. I don't want to market it for free because they have not paid me, But basically what they did is they're saying in the areas of medicine and health, as Nelson pointed out, music is very good for therapy. It can help somebody actually recover from some types of illness, even from depression, for example. So instead of saying you're promoting medicine, the way Kenya government will say, we just like sciences, we don't like arts. Yeah. Let's have students focus on sciences. This country has figured out that, no, you need all this together. So they say the scientists continue, but let's look at the connecting point. So the medical guy starts looking for the musician to look at what kind of therapeutic sound or system can be infused in a medical profession, you see? So I think to your question, the issue has been how we purpose our culture. Some of us just think it's about having people dance for the president, dance for the minister, or dance for tourists. No, that's not culture. This thing has to be thought through with a clear goal, with a clear target of what you want to get out of it. And I'm glad even the example Nelson is giving out there is that, look, if you don't have that, others will steal it, will make money out of it, and you'll be wondering what's going on. So I think this conversation is very, very important for us. And I just want to throw in the last word. There's what we call creative economy.
Okay. Do you want to rush through it very fast?
Yeah. And the creative economy really is out of culture and the arts. And that's the bedrock of everything. You know, I want to mention maybe just another example, probably that is not related to medicine. When those who were flying before COVID-19, whenever they would enter their aeroplane, they'd want to watch movies. So the best flight is the one with the most movies, right? But who are the guys who do movies? They are the artists. But if you have a country that says, let's invest in sciences, not arts, but you notice that the fusion is already happening. Let's say in Emirates. I really like Emirates boarding music, for example. It soothes my nerves. Those are artists. So I really thank the panelists that this is a very good conversation. There's a lot of energy as Enactus students. When you're talking about addressing challenges, it's not just about how to plant maize and cabbages and bring them to a hotel. It's more than that. Even the arts is part of what we need to start bringing on the table as part of the solution to the challenges facing society. Thank you, Josiah, for giving me a chance, although I'm not a musician.
Guys, I would want you to make good friends with James. You never know, one of the next times when he's traveling via Emirates, he can put you in his pocket and go and enjoy the music in that flight. So that I do not be accused that I have not let a lady speak in this forum, and I am not accused that I'm gender biased. Sally, I am bringing you to this conversation. I know you're not part and parcel of this, but I want you to just say, or just, do you think the youth today are let down on the basis and representation of our culture as a nation? Sally.
Well, I don't think they are let down because we have so many platforms for entertainment. Does not only mean you have to sing. We have the acting, we have so many other things. We have the culture. And I think they are really innovative, but they need the support from the government, of course, and our leaders, basically. They also need support in their families because some people come up with very amazing stuff, but our parents are so kienyeji, they think, no, you ni kupotea, but they need to be very supportive. Yeah, I don't think they are let down, but we need to support them for sure, 100%.
Alia said the youth of this nation are not a letdown. And Derito, I'm coming back to you. I didn't forget you. I was just bringing in different voices to this conversation, experience from James, and also from the gender perspective, and also not necessarily gender, but also something that is very tangible. And Derito, now we know that there is a lot of production houses, and just like Nelson Ameo owns one. So then what is the space for youth to just start this creatively and ensure that they position themselves to be the producers of the work that is coming through? Because there is, I would say there is space, but what is lacking is content. So how can the youth position themselves to tap into this space that is not fully tapped?
Thank you very much. On the issue of positioning yourself, I'll go back to the point of narrowing down the reason why you are in this, why you chose to be in art. So after you have packaged yourself, it's called self-branding. You brand yourself so that even if you go to the producer, they'll see you have something tangible. So that this will help an artist not to get to a trap of that is the music producers stealing your content. After you have self-branded yourself very well, it will help you as an artist to get, that is to raise your standard, to raise your value. So after you have raised your value, that's when you will know this is the best place to do my productions. This is the best place to tap in. This is the best place to produce a very high quality videos, that is art, the artwork. So after you have raised, you have known your value, it will be very important, and it will help you to get the right channel.
And I think, Josiah, just to add on Nderitu's point,
Yes.
Other than just being able to identify who the best person to work with is, I think a lot of creative people need to actually focus on quality. And I know I will be crucified for saying this, but there's this trend that has been going around where everyone is encouraging the other, let's all play KE, let's play Kenyan music. So they go on social media, they make noise with the hashtag play KE. Yeah, so I do support play KE, but the truth of the matter is, if you are an artist and you produce less than standard content, you should not expect people to sacrifice their comforts and cringe as they watch a bad video or a badly written song or a badly produced track just because you're looking for the free support. I also feel like as a creative, you need to focus more on making sure that the content you give your fans is good stuff that they can actually put on their playlist and listen to every day. That's number one. And then number two, I think in terms of, I think I lost my train of thought there, but I think what I wanted to say was in terms of creating the quality content, there's a lot of resources on the internet. We are now living in the internet age where you don't need a $1 million producer or a $1 million video director to actually take your idea and put it down and have other people enjoy it. Today, it's as simple as you whip out your smartphone, shoot a video over the weekend, put it on YouTube on Monday, and by Wednesday, it has been watched by 1 million people. So that was never the case when you look at the history of entertainment, especially radio and TV. And yeah.
Okay. Bringing in the voices from online, you say, for those of you who are going to be teachers, Pius Sumori has something for you. And he says, look at this African teacher who is punishing an African child for speaking an African language. So if you are in the generation that you're given Lewis take a disc, Nelson Omayo take a disc, then that is one scenario where your culture is being lost. Then somebody also says that we need to decolonize our mind. Simon says we need to decolonize our mind. They say it's where we need to start from, because then we consider the African aspects of our culture or even our language and all the things that pertains to us as inferior as compared to the Western culture. So then we also need to have a situation whereby then we just tell ourselves that this is us and this is what we can do, and that which we do is pretty much standard at our level. Ladies and gentlemen, we are taking this home. And then I'll start with Nderitu. Please, as you wind up, is there hope on the arts and culture scene?
Yes. There is very big hope.
And what is that hope?
Future is very promising. And as we continue to fight the battles of decolonizing our minds, getting to the industry with the right minds, knowing that we are victors, there is hope, there is a lot to be done. There is a lot of potential that many people have not get into. So if we incorporate all those, that is the minds of being more creative than we are. That is going an extra mile. It will help to tap into the art industry, and it will help to gain more achievements in the art industry.
Steve Musau says that we are a nation of 42 tribes. Our diversity is what makes us unique and dependent on each other. However, it's also not true to say that as Kenyans, we share one culture. So then it's good to note that if we have 42 tribes in Kenya, right now, I think we are 46. Then we have, it's also true to say that we have 46 cultures that are independent of each other. Yet, there's beauty in that diversity. Clotilda says that yes, it's very true that it's very sad that nowadays actually us as Africans, we get to be measured on our intelligence by how many foreign languages we speak. And you would be shocked to find that there is an African who can speak Spanish, French, German, yet tell him to speak their local language. They would be rolling out, they cannot go and talk to their grandmother back in the village. So then how are we going to have that sustaining itself? Then we also have Brian, who said that even at the village level, we need to, Brian is the one actually who said, who talked about decolonizing our mind. And then culture is our identity from Clotilda again. And then finally, Scarlett says, how can those creative arts in the industry revamp themselves and remain relevant? The culture is the bedrock of our economy. And somebody says, yes, indeed, that is the bedrock of our economy. I'm coming back to you, Nelson. As you start winding out your tent, there is hope, there is technology and innovation. How will the youth combine those two and bring something that is phenomenal?
Well, I do believe strongly that there is hope, and more importantly, I feel like the game is changing because now the cost of entry into the industry is much lower. Equipment is cheaper, the quality is better, internet penetration is at its highest since internet was developed in America. So I feel like the stage is only going to get bigger and bigger and more global as more content gets produced and the level of quality rises. So yeah, we have a bright future ahead of us in terms of the creative space as Africans.
One concern comes out though, is a creativity in the arts industry and in the cultural industry and in the music industry doesn't necessarily have to be lewd. It doesn't have to have sexual connotation. It doesn't have to be something that you'd not want to see with your daughter if you're a father, and you'd not want to see with your son if you're a mother. So for whoever who is in this house and is considering to become an artist, it's also nice to say that we don't have to really be extremely adult rated content, that you get to have Mutua, Ezekiel Mutua on your neck all the time, but we can really produce beautiful pieces without necessarily depicting the sexuality in it. That doesn't mean that sexuality is not something that we can be with, because that is our nature, that is human nature. But then there's just a concern that why does it have to be seriously and heavily sexual in nature? Ladies and gentlemen, this has been a really nice conversation as we step back and look into our culture, our music, into our arts, and how then we can create things creatively. But even above all, ladies and gentlemen, in this day and age, one of the things that you must contend with is the technological advancement. If you do not shape up, you will have to ship out. And if you do not adjust yourself in good time, then actually the technological advancement and the innovation is going to shape you out by force. You do not want to be the person who is shaped out by force. You'd want to attune yourself in time for the changes of our times. This has been Josiah Adema, and I wind this back and give it back to our man of the day, Bwana James Shikwati, the gentleman who has made every effort with the team at IREN and ensure that this day Has been a long day, but really, really, really a very beautiful day. James, over to you.
Thank you, Josiah, and thank you everybody for staying late in this session. Actually, mine is just to thank all that have participated from 8 in the morning to now. We're almost moving close to 7 p.m. The good news is we are going to have all these video recordings uploaded on the Enactus Kenya portal next week. So whoever misses is assured of being able to follow this conversation. And the conversation continues. And therefore, I know there's curfew. So for those working from home, that's fine. But for some of us who had come to work from the office, we have to start looking for ways to evade the curfew. Therefore, I like to bring the conversation to an end and then wish everybody well, stay safe, wash your hands, keep distance, and put on a mask when you go shopping. Thank you so much. And congratulations for all that participated today. Bye-bye.